So folks, today we're going to apply knowledge of transformations to define congruence and begin to write congruent statements. So before we can do that, what exactly is congruence? So you'll notice in parentheses we have the congruence symbol. So we're going to use that pretty frequently during this first semester. So when we talk about congruence, we're primarily talking about two things, shape and size. And when we're comparing two objects, we want to make sure their shape and size are identical in order for them to be congruent. And when we work with rigid transformations for the past few weeks, we work with translations, reflections, and rotations. They all preserve size and shape, and they will all produce images that are going to be congruent to their pre-images. So let's take a look at this slide right here. We see that these two Christmas trees are going to be congruent because their size and shape are identical. Same thing with these two triangles. Their size and shape are identical. Even though their orientations are different, that's okay. We're only concerned if the shape and size are going to be identical. And if we take a look right here, we see that these hexagons have different shapes, so they're clearly not congruent. And we see that these two Christmas trees have different sizes, so they're clearly not congruent. And these two pentagons right here, they're different colors, and we don't technically consider them congruent because congruence implies that everything must be identical, regardless of the size, shape, or whatever pattern that might occur. But we're really not going to talk much about these characteristics for this class. So we're only going to focus on size and shape. So be careful when you talk about congruence. You want to make sure that you're not confusing it with the word equal because they have very, very similar meanings. So when we talk about equal, we're talking about numbers. So we would say 8 is equal to 8. Or we would say an equation is equal to another equation, but we wouldn't say an equation is congruent to another equation. And we have the symbol for equal here, and we have the symbol for congruence. So when we talk about congruence, we're talking about objects, and more specifically, geometric objects. So how do we write congruent statements? So we have three situations right here, and we're going to take a look at the sides and segments. So if we take a look, we have EF is congruent to DG. And notice I'm keeping the symbolism that I've used before in regards to segments. So the sides of polygons, they technically are segments, so we want to preserve that notation. And if you take a look at the tick marks on this diagram right here, the number of tick marks indicates which objects are congruent. So here we have two sides that have two tick marks. So any sides that have two tick marks will also be congruent to each other. So I could have another side that has two tick marks and they'll be considered congruent with DG and EF. And just keep in mind in the future, you want to trust the diagram and not necessarily your eyes, because you might have two objects that look like they're different sizes, but as long as they have the same number of tick marks, they're considered congruent. So let's take a look at writing congruent statements for angles. So if we take a look right here, we see this little arc in between the two sides of the angles. That's typically the mark that we would use for congruent angles. And if we wanted to, let's say, compare another set of angles, we could include two arcs. Just like we have two tick marks here, the tick marks are analogous to the arcs for angles. And again, just like for sides and segments, we want to make sure that we're using the same symbolism just like before. And in regards to figures, it's tough to kind of draw, or maybe not tough, but it's a little bit tedious to draw like a pentagon right in front of the letters. So typically we're okay with just writing out the vertices of those figures. So let's take a look at this slide right here. Now I want you folks to kind of pause and think, why are these two congruent statements wrong? So take a moment, maybe pause the video and just think. Right, so did you figure it out? So you're probably correct, probably wrong. I don't know. Obviously, I can't, see what you said. But here, if we take a look, we have quadrilateral L, M, and D. And we have quadrilateral, or at least initially, W, Y, X, Z. So here, let's kind of follow the pattern, or connect the dots, so to speak. So we have L, M, and D. Okay, that forms a quadrilateral. But if we take a look at W, Y, X, Z, so W, Y, X, Z, notice if I follow the path of the vertices, that doesn't even form a quadrilateral. It gives me like this weird X pattern or whatnot. And if we take a look at this second so-called congruent statement here, okay, so we take a look at the figure, everything checks out. Okay, that's fine. But except we use the wrong symbol, right? So these two triangles are not equal, they're congruent, all right? So try to keep that in mind in the future, all right? So again, like I mentioned earlier, the order of the letters matter, right? Because you want to make sure that this is actually a quadrilateral. So sometimes it helps if you just kind of use your finger or use a pencil and try to connect the vertices and see if you get the same shape as you would over here, right? And like I mentioned earlier, we use equal signs for numbers, not geometric objects. So in summary, rigid transformations, they ensure congruence. So translations, rotations, reflections, they ensure congruence. And when you're writing congruent statements, you want to make sure that you're following the order of the corresponding points and you use the correct symbol. And when you're speaking of congruence, avoid such phrases as all sides are congruent or all angles are congruent. So do you see why that is wrong? Right. So here, if I were to say all sides are congruent, well, what does that mean? That's a bit ambiguous. So if we take a look at this diagram right here, LM and DN, they're not going to be congruent, at least visually. Unless there were some markings, we can't confirm that they're going to be congruent. And they're clearly not congruent. So when you say all sides are congruent, well, that's implying that all sides of this figure or all sides of this figure are going to be congruent to each other. And obviously that's not necessarily true. So you want to say that corresponding sides or corresponding angles are going to be congruent.